Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday night sermon. Welcome to Eye Opener Society. My name is Gary Dean, and a little bit of Murphy's Law today, as Lizzie explained it. See, we started out with four of us that was going to give sermons tonight. Well, guess what? It's down to one. Everybody had to cancel out for one reason or another. Lizzie did say it was a Murphy's Law kind of day. I'm believing it, but no worries. I'm here. I'm going to give a sermon. I hope everybody enjoys it. These sermons benefit you, help you to think, help you to put things into perspective. So, since I am the only one, I will get started and I'll tell you my sermon. So, tonight, what I want to do is I want to talk about something that affects every single one of us. It's something we experience almost every day, whether we realize it or not. Many times we are viewed through someone else's perspective instead of being seen for who we truly are. See, we become victims of other people's assumptions, their expectations, and sometimes even their egos. But here's the difficult part. Sometimes the greatest obstacle isn't someone else's opinion. Sometimes it's our own. Our own lack of confidence can quietly destroy our ambitions long before we ever take the first step. We convince ourselves that we're not qualified, not talented enough, not experienced enough, or simply not the kind of person who succeeds. So tonight I want to challenge that way of thinking. So let me tell you a story about how this sermon came to be. You see, I've been scrolling on TikTok, just like everybody else nowadays, right? And I've been watching some shorts, and I've been following this creator, Anatoly. Some of you may have already heard of him, some of you may not. But if you haven't, Anatoly is a world class weightlifter from Ukraine. But what fascinates me isn't just how much he can lift, it's the way he challenges people's expectations. You see, growing up, he didn't always have access to expensive gym equipment. So instead of fancy weights, he simply lifted whatever heavy objects he could find. Strength wasn't a hobby for him, it was a way of life. So now here's the interesting part. Anatoly doesn't look like what most people imagine when they picture the strongest man in the gym. His body is incredibly athletic and finely conditioned, but he doesn't have enormous muscles stacked on top of muscles. He doesn't fit the stereotype, and he knows that. So he turns the assumption into a lesson. He dresses up like a janitor. He walks around carrying a mop that secretly weighs 70 or even 100 pounds. While everyone else struggles to move equipment around the gym, he's casually mopping the floor with what essentially is a massive weight. Then he'll approach some of the biggest bodybuilders in the gym. Using a playful voice and a thick accent, he'll ask if he can join them or even offer them advice on their lifting techniques. See, the reactions are almost always the same. People laugh, they smirk, some of them roll their eyes, and some even ridicule him. After all, these bodybuilders are sometimes 2 or 3 times his size. They've already decided who he is before they even seen what he's capable of. Anatoly simply smiles and asks, "Why are you laughing? Why can't I lift with you?" Then comes the moment that changes everything. He walks over to the bar. He picks up the exact same weight that they were lifting, sometimes up to 500 pounds. Not only does he lift it, he makes it look completely effortless. 1 repetition, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 perfect repetitions. The expressions on people's faces are completely priceless. The laughter disappears, the arrogance fades, and suddenly the room becomes very quiet because everything they believed about him was wrong. You know, as I watch those videos, I realize something. Most of us have an Anatoly living inside of us, not a weightlifter, but a version of ourselves that is far more capable than we've allowed ourselves to believe. See, the problem is that we've spent so much time listening to the opinions of what others started believing them ourselves. See, somewhere along that the way, we accepted invisible limits. I can never do that. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have enough education. I don't have enough money. I'm not attractive enough. I'm too quiet. I'm too different. See, how many dreams have died because someone believed one of those lies? How many businesses were never started? How many books were never written? How many artists never created? How many people never found their purpose because they convinced themselves they weren't enough? So you see, the truth is we often sell ourselves short before life even gets the chance to test us. Society loves putting people into neat little boxes. It tells us what success should look like. It tells us what intelligence should look like, what strength should look like, what leadership should look like, what spirituality should look like. So if we don't fit those boxes, we begin questioning ourselves. But who created those boxes in the first place? Think about it. How often do we judge people simply because they don't match our expectations? We do it without even realizing it. Sometimes we judge by appearance, sometimes by clothing, by age, by occupation, sometimes just by the sound of someone's voice, and sometimes by their past. You see, we think we know someone before they've ever had the chance to show us who they really are. But here's something worth remembering: potential rarely announces itself. Greatness doesn't always look impressive at first glance. Wisdom doesn't always arrive wearing a suit. Strength doesn't always have giant muscles. Kindness doesn't always come with recognition. And purpose doesn't always follow the path everyone expects. Ego has an incredible way of blinding us. It convinces us that because we've always done something one way, it must be the only way. It tells us that because someone doesn't look like us, think like us, or learn like us, they must be less capable. But growth begins the moment we become willing to look beyond appearances. Our own fear often becomes a reflection of the very egos that stand in our way. We fear judgment because we've judged ourselves. We fear failure because we've already convinced ourselves we're incapable. See, sometimes the prison isn't built by other people. Sometimes we've built it ourselves. Imagine what could happen if we stopped asking, "What if I fail?" and started asking, "What if I surprise myself?" Just imagine if we approach life with curiosity instead of fear. Imagine if we stopped measuring ourselves against someone else's definition of success. Imagine if we simply became the best version of who we already are. That is where freedom begins, not in becoming someone else, but in fully becoming yourself. So the next time you find yourself doubting your abilities, the next time someone tells you you're not qualified, or maybe tells you that you don't fit the image, just remember Anatoly. Remember the janitor who walked into a room full of people who already made up their minds. Remember the laughter that turned to silence. Remember that appearances can deceive. But most importantly, remember that your greatest strength may be hidden beneath layers of doubt that you've carried for years. Don't let someone else's expectation define your future. Don't let your own fears write the ending to your story. You may be capable of far more than you've ever imagined. Because sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is simply the courage to try. I want to thank you for joining me, Gary Dean, here on Eye Opener Society. This is our Thursday night sermon. Again, I do apologize that we didn't have Lizzie with us. We didn't have Halos or Elaine, but I'm wishing them all the best. And we'll be seeing them soon. And I know next week, Lizzie has gotten an incredible sermon for you, and she's going to be adding something extra for missing out today. She does want me to extend my love to all of you. So thank you all again for joining me, and we'll see you again next Thursday.